Today, we're going to be investigating what do we do if it's not a triangle that we're working with. So far, with trigonometry, we've only been dealing with right triangles, and you have to be able to identify the opposite, the adjacent, and the hypotenuse. So today, you can see with this triangle that's here in our lesson, there's no 90-degree angle. There's no need to identify opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. You do need to remember that your angles are always capital letters, so this note here is important. Lowercase letters are always the sides, and sides and opposite angles have the same letter. Angle A, side A, angle B, side B, angle C, side C. You can see the way that the triangle is set, or the formula is set up, that sides and opposite angles are across from each other. And if you're looking for sides, you use this formula with the sides on the top. If you're looking for angles, you just flip the formula upside down and you use this one with the angles on top. They're the exact same formula, but just flipped around so that your variable's in the numerator, making it easier to find. So this first question that we're working with says, find the perimeter of the triangle. So perimeter means the distance all the way around. So you can see that we know side B, we do not know side M, and we don't know side S. So I'm just going to set up this triangle so it has these letters in it instead of A, B, C. I have M, and I'm looking for a side, so I'm going to keep sides at the top. M over sine of M equals S over sine of S equals B over sine B. And I'm just going to fill in the information that's given to me in this triangle. So M, I do know the angle measurement. It is 50 degrees. S, oh, I don't know side S, and actually I don't know angle S, but I could solve for it. I could do 180, take away 50, take away 56. And when I grab my calculator, you're going to end up with a 74-degree angle. And B, I know the side and the angle. Now, we're not used to a formula with all three parts to it and two variables. So really what you're going to do is just pick any two parts. You will need the part with the fraction completely filled in with the side and the angle. This is your indication it's sine law. I call this a loop of information, a side and opposite angle. That's your indication this is sine law, as opposed to our last formula, cosine law. So if you see a side and an opposite angle as part of your given information, that's your visual clue, it's sine law. So I'm going to use the 1,000 and sine 56. I think I'll just find side M first here. So I'm just going to grab this other part of my formula and just ignore the S part for now. I'm just going to rewrite it with just two pieces. We'll use the third here in a minute. M over sine 50 equals 1,000 or sine of 56. Okay, now I want you to focus on your variable, which is here in the top. Often students look at this formula and they immediately think, oh, I'm just going to cross multiply. You can do that, but it's going to make things more complicated. So let me show you how to solve it in one process to rearrange, to isolate for your variable rather than two. M is currently being divided by sine of 50. Opposite of division is just multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 50. This will cancel. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to multiply the opposite side by sine 50. And I'm just going to grab a calculator. You will definitely need to be comfortable with your calculator with all of your trigonometry formulas. If you use the fraction button, you can put 1,000 in the top, sine of 56 in the bottom. You'll have to close the bracket and then move right to get out of the denominator. Then hit times sine 50. And I'm getting side M to be 924.016, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to round to 924 kilometers. Okay, now this question asked us for the full perimeter. So I'm also going to solve for side S. So I'm going to go back up here to my formula. And now what I need to do is use side S and this sine of 74. And again, I'm going to use the 1,000 times the sine of 56 because that was given to me. And I'm pretty sure there's no error in that part of my formula. So I'm just going to rewrite those two components. So S over sine of 74 is equal to 1,000 over sine of 56. And when you look at your variable here, you can see again it's being divided. So I'm just going to multiply both sides by sine of 74. We'll cancel on the left. Multiply sine 74 here on this side. So 1,000 divided by sine of 56 divided by sine of 74. If you already have that formula in your bracket from last time, you actually can just change the multiplication component. So try to be efficient with your calculators. I'm getting this side to be 1,156.49. So zero point 0.4 is less than 5, so I'm going to just round down. So I'm going to leave it at 1,156. 59, excuse me, kilometers. And then last thing I'm going to do for perimeter is just add up all the three sides, 1,159, 924, and 1,000 to get my final answer for my perimeter. And I get 3,083. Not all the time will the question be asking you for more than one thing on the triangle. So read the question carefully on this one because it said perimeter. We do have to find the missing sides. But on a question like this, it asks me only to find one thing. This question, it doesn't give me the information on the triangle, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it first. It says side V is 11.1, so that's down here. Side T is 5.8, so that's over here. And angle T is 31 degrees. And I'm looking for angle V. I'm looking for that top component up there. Now, because they're asking me for a side, please use your formulas carefully, an angle. Use your formulas carefully. I'm going to use the one with the angles in the numerator as opposed to the sides. You'll see here in a minute why that's easier. So if I rearrange this, I have sine of t over t, sine of u over u, and sine of v over v. And I have angle t and side t. I don't have any of the u's, and you'll notice in this question it doesn't ask me for u. So I'm going to actually completely ignore that part of my formula. I don't need to solve for anything other than just angle v in this question. And side v is 11.1. You guys will notice your variables here in the top, okay? So that's why I've always given you rearranged formulas so that you can just go ahead and isolate quickly. It's being divided, being divided by 11.1, so opposite division is multiplication. So on your calculators, you will need to do sine of 31 divided by 5.8 and then multiply that by 11.1. So I get 0.9856. Okay, so the really long decimal. And you might be asking yourself, like, how is that possible? How's that our angle measurement? Well, that equals the sine of V. So just like in SOHCAHTOA, if you have your trig ratio attached to your angle, you have to move that to the opposite side. Now, let me tell you how to do this efficiently on your calculator. I want you to do sine -1 of your answer so that you don't have to redo that crazy long decimal and risk making an error. So please look at your calculator, see if you can find the answer button, the A and S button. Mine's on the lower right. Sometimes you have to hit shift or second function. So if you can't find that, I will help you with that in our next Zoom call. But shift sine to get sine -1 of your answer, and it turns it into an 80-degree angle for us. And I'm just rounding to a whole number. I get 80.29077. So the only extra step when you're looking for an angle is to remember to do sine -1. So the main point of this lesson is use the appropriate formula for side or angle, plug in your information. There will always be a multiplication. And then if you're looking for angles, there's the extra step of doing sine -1.